Good afternoon and welcome to LHMedia. And today we are going to speak to a woman who has faced adversity and who came out at the other end smiling. Today, LHMedia officially launches its Free to Be Me campaign, and in doing so, we celebrate one phenomenal woman. Her name is Rowena Jordan. She's a woman of strength, she's a mother, she's an activist, and we welcome Rowena Jordan to the first installment of Free to Be Me. Rowena, tell us about your life and your journey.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, LHMedia, for giving me this opportunity. To the viewers out there, good day to you, and I trust everybody's having a great day, even though it can be crappy. My life, where do you want me to start? Well, I was born to parents who were both in the education field. People saw us as being this uppity family, which we were not. We went to school in a township, a normal area. And because my dad insisted that we need to know life as life is. And from a very young age, this was instilled in me. And we were taught lots of principles and morals. And that was probably the compass for my life. I got married at a very young age. And I had my son when I was 22 years old. 22 years old. You know, what do I know of life? But then I thought I knew a lot.
Mm-hmm. As we all do.
Yeah, no, you know, nobody could tell me. I knew I had my life plotted. I was only going to have a son. I didn't want a husband, and so on and so on. But that reality was shattered because I remember these words very clearly. The night before I got married, I told my parents that I was pregnant. And I ran out of the house because I was scared. So what the hell are they going to say? Because I know I disappointed them. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, the next day at the court, there were my parents coming to support me. So that was victory. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was victory. I remember standing in front of the magistrate and thinking, I didn't want a husband. Mm. And when I had to say I do, I didn't quite say I do. I said 5 years and we'll be divorced. And so that was imprinted in my life because I only wanted a son and I didn't want the sperm donor, but nonetheless. 6 years later, still married, going through a very abusive marriage. It was the most abusive period in my life. Not only physical abuse, emotional, verbal, financial, you name it. Rowena's seen it all at that young age. And of course, I was too scared to go to my parents because they would have told me straight, told you so. Yeah. But nonetheless, 6 years later, while filing for a divorce, found out I'm pregnant. I found out I was pregnant at 9 weeks. At 11 weeks, I found out there was more than one heartbeat. Okay. By 14 weeks, I knew it was twins. It was a tough time. I only had my son to support me. He was going on to be 6 years old. He was my partner in crime and would go to every doctor's visit with me. My ex-husband then was involved with another woman. And of course, the abuse continued. And I ended up in hospital, being beaten to a pulp. And I remember a Saturday night when I was so badly beaten up, a doctor came to me and he said, besides your broken arm and broken nose, you have cracked ribs and you're bleeding internally. Oh my. We have to operate immediately. And I said to him, doctor, I am pregnant. Mm-hmm. If you can guarantee that nothing's going to happen to the fetus, you can operate. And he said, I'm afraid you're going to have to abort. And I said, no. There's a reason why I'm pregnant, because this pregnancy happened through the pill. It wasn't something I planned. There's a reason why this pregnancy happened. I'm not going to abort it. Yeah. And he said to me, you're okay to lose your life. I said, then I lose my life. But I don't think so, because I think God has a plan. Yeah. And so I didn't have the op, obviously, and I just struggled through the pregnancy. Wasn't an easy pregnancy, was sometimes I sat there and I thought, why didn't I listen to the doctor? And then it would just disappear again and think, you're not going to listen to the doctor, you go on with your life. Anyway, nonetheless, at 27 weeks, without warning, without pain, without anything, the twins fell out.
Oh my.
I just had one very bad pain in my back. It's just one stabbing pain. And I couldn't understand. But the Wednesday, I had gone for a checkup. And the doctor had said to me, any pain that you experience, any pain, you have to contact me, because it's a high-risk pregnancy. You were beaten. You've gone through this horrible, so we have to watch you clearly. Anyway, the Friday was when I got this pain, and I called the doctor. He was on the golf course, and he said to me, Ro, get yourself to Constantiaberg immediately. I said, it's just one pain, and I'm just wondering maybe what is going on. He said, just get yourself to hospital.
He obviously knew.
He obviously knew. He said to me, when you get there, you tell them that I'm on my way and you need to go up to the labor ward. I said, doctor, but it's 27 weeks and I'm not in labor, so I don't have pain. But I have to tell you that I never experienced labor, not even with my son, because I had had an epidural before labor was brought on. So I didn't know what labor was. This is just one pain, and going and walking into the hospital, and I remember the porter saying to me, come here, here's a wheelchair. I said, are you crazy? I'm not crippled, I'm walking. Anyway, got into the labor ward. She was on the phone with the gynae, and he instructed her to do an internal while he finds his way to hospital. Which she did, and I heard her screaming and saying, this woman is 7 centimeters dilated.
Oh, wow.
I looked at her, I said, you obviously can't count. I'm not in labor. And she said to me, I can't believe that you're not feeling pain. And the doctor's saying, tell Ro to keep her legs closed. I'll be there. I said, you see, even he knows it's not labor. Stop joking about it. And I said, besides, if I was in labor, would I have brought my son with to hospital?
So, yeah.
So she said, let me put on the fetal monitor. And there she says, look how close by your labor pain. Just look at these contractions. I said, I'm not feeling
anything. Oh, wow.
I'm feeling it. Anyway, they prepped me for the delivery room and all of that. That was at 2:10. At 27 minutes past 2, everything was over.
27 minutes past.
27 minutes. Twins were born. Lauren was the first one. She weighed 1 kilo. Martine came out 2 minutes later. She weighed 900 grams. And I'm going to tell you the truth, the real truth as it is. They were ugly. They looked like little rats.
Not that early, they all do.
This big heads and no eyelashes and no whatever. They looked terrible. Martine, the second twin, wasn't breathing. They had a doctor, their pediatrician, came in, and he was trying to resuscitate Martine because she was born stillborn. And for a while they struggled, but eventually they got her, and she was very weak and very ill at birth. But nonetheless, they were born. I only saw them on day 3 because the doctor said to me, the first 24 hours is crucial.
Crucial, yeah.
If they survive 24 hours, great stuff. It gives you a better chance. My attitude was, these children are going to die. They're 27-week-old babies. They're going to die. Why must I bond with them?
Yeah.
I'm not going to put I've got enough emotional strain on me. I'm not going to put, but nonetheless, they survived. They stayed in hospital for a solid 3 months. Within that 3 months, I have experienced near deaths with the 2 of them more than 6 times.
Sure.
First Martine would just stop breathing, and then in the middle of the night I get calls. Then Lauren, then Martine developed a brain infection, and Lauren had nothing to do with the gut. Eventually they came home. They were fine, and they came home. They both had they were both diagnosed with asthma. And so for the first 18 months, they were quite sickly. But by that time, let me tell you, Lynn, they came home the 7th of August, the 6th of August, they came home. The 7th of August, 1989, my divorce was declared final.
Oh, wow.
The 25th of August of that year, their father remarried. So there was no support from that side. It was, as I said, it was Justin, my son, myself. And so we had to survive, which we did. And I'm glad today, and I say it all the time, the one thing that kept me sane was saying, God has a plan for you. God has a plan for you. Because he wouldn't let you struggle like this. And today I can see it. You mentioned I'm an activist. Yes, I am an activist. I try to encourage other women, especially abused women. Don't give up. You follow your gut. God does have a plan. No matter how difficult it's going to be, at the end of the day, there is a light at the tunnel. So yeah, that was my story. And then after, when Lauren and Martine turned about from the age of 3, there was no trace of asthma. They were healthy children. The only thing they had was they were very small. They were still wearing 18-month-old clothes.
At 3 years old.
At 3 years old. And I was overfeeding them, to be honest, because I was too scared. You know, the old people used to say, you must eat. When you're sick, you must eat. And I thought, this is the answer. Instead of giving them 2 spoons, I would double it to 4 spoons. I would force them to eat. And they became quite chubby. And they always blamed me for that. But that was my way of coping. So yeah, that's where we were.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing, Rowena. And I mean, to think through all of that, and they turned out to be healthy, young. And I mean, I had the privilege of meeting them, the young, beautiful ladies. But I think it was at the age of 18 when their lives changed again.
Correct.
Would you mind sharing that with us?
No problem. April 2007 was the biggest knock I experienced in my life then, greater than the divorce or anything.
Why is this thing?
I remember Lauren coming home complaining. Now, they always, once a year, the girls always had diarrhea. Like a flu, a stomach flu, which we put down to normal stomach flu. These lasted a bit longer, but nobody worried about it. And then Lauren came home. She was at the College of Cape Town, and she said, Mommy, my stomach. It's the normal, you know, you give the normal things. Just allow that, it will be fine. And I remember that evening I was going to go to the waterfront, and I said to her, Lauren, do you want to go? What? Are we going to go for supper? And at first she said, I don't know, please, I can't handle food. But then afterwards she said, yes, I'm going with. And I remember we were about 2 minutes away from the house. We just left, and she said, no, please take me back home. I can't. And then I looked at this child and I thought, oh my God, don't say her appendix is burst now. You know, because she looked, she was really ill. And we stayed, and I couldn't wait for the Monday morning so that I could get her to a doctor. So the Monday, I obviously went to the doctor. We took her to the doctor, and I said to her, I don't know what's going on here, whatever. At first, I thought it was a gallbladder. So I was sent to have all the necessary scans and everything. It wasn't a gallbladder. And they thought it was a liver. I remember saying to the doctor, but now, because I didn't have medical aid, I said, but now, these tests are all very expensive. Can you not send me to Grootskip? Because I can't afford these tests. But because by now let me be honest, I've been borrowing from my family to pay for these ultrasounds and scans. She got me, she said, okay, I have a relationship with the head of emergency at Grootskip. I'm going to give you a letter, I'm going to phone him, and then you take her after 7. Don't take her for the day, take her after 7. I promise you, I sat looking at that clock, couldn't wait for 7 o'clock. 5 or 7, I was in the emergency there, but Lauren was really ill. We sat up the whole night at Grootskier. They didn't offer Lauren a bed, nothing. She had to sit on a chair. Even
She's in pain.
She's in pain. She fainted a couple of times. She couldn't. She vomited a couple of times. There was just no beds. They did the tests and everything. Inconclusive. They don't know. But they'll wait for the GI doctor. Yeah, gastroenterologist. And I must now wait for the next morning for him to come on duty, which we did. By this time, Lauren was miserable. Lauren's mom became go, I'd rather just die at home, and talking very negatively. But back there, spoke to the doctor and they did the necessary tests and all of that. And he said to me, I have a whole lot of things here, test results. I need you also to give me some information, background information, which I gladly gave him.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I'm very confused. And at that moment, I looked at this doctor and I said, now, bearing in mind, Lynn, that my training was medical technology. So I had been, even though I wasn't supposed to, but looking at the test results and the bloods and all, I'm thinking, and this doctor said, it's very good. I said, doctor, can I make a suggestion? Can you please test for Crohn's? And he looked at me and he said, Crohn's? I said, yes. I know I wasn't supposed to look at the bloods, the results, but to me, all fingers are pointing to Crohn's disease. And he said to me, do you know? I said, people in your family? I said, no, I have IBD. I don't have Crohn's. But what I'm seeing here is a clear case of Crohn's. And then he left, he went to speak to his superior, and he came back, and he said, we're going to do more tests. By 5 o'clock that afternoon, they confirmed Lauren had Crohn's. Now, here was my problem. If I didn't tell that doctor, what would have happened? They would have been taking it in a different direction. And I was just very happy that, now we got it. So now we're sitting with the problem. Lauren needs to be admitted, but there's no beds. So I said to him, it's fine, I'll take her home. But you're going to have to keep your eye on her because I can see this is a hell of a situation. Yeah. She's not the one, I know my daughter. He said, no, fine, take her home, bring her back on Thursday. If we don't phone you Wednesday, bring her back on Thursday. Lauren got worse. The Thursday, I took her early, as usual at Grootskier. You have to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was there. By 9 o'clock, he came. They still didn't have a bed. He said to me, no, you can't. I said, I'm not taking this child home. There's absolutely no way I'm taking Lauren home. I said, Lauren is dehydrated. She needs intravenous feeding. She needs medication in a drip. I can't do it at home.
Yeah.
So, and then he's really sorry. And I said to Lauren, the clinic was closed already. And I said to Lauren, I'm sorry, my child. I'm taking you home. I'm going to find somebody here, and I demanded to speak to the head of E23, gastric ward. I demanded to speak to him. I forget his name, Professor somebody with a B. And as I was making a raucous there with a sister, he happened to come past, and he said, what is the problem? And I said to him, doctor, look at this child. I've been here since Monday. There's no bed for Lauren. I said, and as you can see, they diagnosed her with Crohn's. As you can see, she can't even sit up. I can't even touch her stomach. How can I take this child home? And he said to me, absolutely not. She's not going home. I will find her bed, which he did. And Lauren was admitted. A few days later, Lauren had to have surgery. When she was first diagnosed with Crohn's, that Crohn's has 5 types. You get 5 types of Crohn's. And I always tell people, Crohn's can affect you from the gum to the bum. But it's actually beyond the gum because it comes out, your eyes are affected, everything is affected. And then they diagnosed Lauren as having Crohn's in the terminal ileum, which means it was in the small bowel. And she had the op, and they cut away part of the bowel. And she came out. I remember the poor child was in agony. But nonetheless, it was done. And we believe that the Crohn's it's gone now.
Yeah.
They cut it all out. The doctor did warn me, said there where the resection was done, the Crohn's can come back again. But I firmly believe, no, this is the end of it.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, 6 weeks later, Martine has Crohn's.
Oh my word.
Martine is diagnosed with Crohn's. First, we thought it was psychosomatic, but she went through it. At least with her, it went quicker, because now Lauren had gone through all the crap. And Martine was diagnosed the very day I took her, and 2 days later, she had the same operation as Lauren.
Sure.
So it was heavy with the two of them. Martine was at the CPUT, Lauren was at Cape College. Martine was doing a travel at the Vineyard Hotel. So besides the issue of the logistics of being at the hospital, because Lauren was still in hospital and they were on different floors, so visiting hours became a nightmare. We had to split up and say, you go here, you go there, then we change and things.
Yeah.
The problem with sorting out the schooling and the studies and all of it. And of course, I still have a son who's at university. So all of that. But nonetheless, it went on. But Lauren never really recovered. Lauren was always the one that was ill. Martine recovered. She had a bad turn while she was in hospital. But then they got her right. And after that, Martine was okay. Her flare-ups was very mild. But Lauren had flare-up upon flare-up upon flare-up. But the difference between the twins were that although they were identical twins, Lauren was an outgoing girl. She loved people. She didn't like the attention on her. She would rather have it on somebody else, whereas Martine was completely the opposite.
Yeah, let's just pick up where we left off before we took a break.
Thank you, Lynn. Sorry, yes?
Yeah, you wanted to speak about the challenges that Lauren had to face.
I'm not actually over Lauren's situation. I'm not actually over the whole Crohn's situation. I'm living a life, but what kind of life am I living?
Yeah.
A life of fear of the disease. So maybe I could learn a thing or two from Lauren. You know, because Lauren had all 5 forms of Crohn's, it affected not only her insides, but also her skin. Her skin was permanently, it looked like acne, but it wasn't acne, permanently full of bumps and stuff. Her eyes, she would get eye infection, then she would have bleeding gums, then she would get mouth ulcers, then she would get fever blisters. Her glands would swell up, especially the lymph nodes in a groin, in a neck, and in the armpits. And doctors kept on, every time she goes and they say, oh, no, you've got glandular fever again. And it was just, every week there was something different. But despite all these things that Lauren went through, she was still the chirpy Lauren. And her motto was, live as if it's your last day. Don't live as if it's your first day of the rest of your life. Live as if it's your last day. And she would say to me when she was like really in pain and things, and she wouldn't come to me and say I'm in pain or anything. I could just pick up. And I would say to her, Lauren, I can see you in pain. And she would say, nah, nothing that I can't handle, mommy. But let me just tell you something, mommy. This disease is not fun, eh? Not fun at all. It makes it hard for me. She said, you know, today I feel like having pasta, but I wonder if my gut and Mr. Crohn's is going to allow me to have pasta. And then she would try and eat it, and then she sees, oh no, this is not working. Then the next day she would just, after she's had a flare up, they would say, you know, they're in remission now. Then she would try and eat boiled or steamed vegetables. Then that would come up. So you couldn't put down a specific diet because she had all the forms of Crohn's. It was very hard. At one stage, she was eating baby food. Then she was too shy to go into the shop to buy baby bum cream because she needed it because of the fissures and all of that. Then she was, Mommy, I'm bleeding. What can I do now again? I can't even sit properly because of the ulcers on the behind, you know, and it's not only on the exterior, it's on the interior. And of course, through all of this, Lauren was losing a lot of weight. But the one thing that counted in her favor, she would eat even though she knew she would vomit. Now, let me tell you, Lauren worked in the call center, right? If Lauren vomited 30 times a day, it was a little. Lauren had constant diarrhea. But she never allowed it to affect the work schedule. What she did was she actually asked them at work, because apparently in the call center you have a certain limit of time for toilet breaks. And she explained to them a situation and took the proof from the doctors. And then she asked to be moved close to the toilet. Yeah. So that she doesn't lose, sorry, my phone is going, let me just mute it. So that she doesn't lose too much work time. And that's how Lauren went on. Through pain, I can't explain to you how many times I would have to ride to her work to go and fetch her. At first, when she used to say to me, Mommy, you drive, take me to work, I used to get angry because just child can drive. Why doesn't she want to take herself? Little did I know, she was getting blackouts. Right. So when it became apparent to me, then I used to take her and fetch her. And there was some, and she would work at nights, and there were some times when I just got home from dropping her. Then I said, Mommy, you can come fetch me. And Lauren couldn't anymore. And Lauren, at one stage, I remember Lauren had a car accident. She rolled her dad's car. It was a Saturday afternoon. And I didn't know. I saw all the missed messages, calls from her, but I didn't answer because I thought, I just need a break. I was at the shopping mall, and when I left, she was at home, so I didn't know what she was. Little did I know that she had actually rolled her father's car because she had a blackout. And she was trying to get hold of me to tell me this. So those were all the challenges that Lauren endured. And then then she started getting this terrible pains in her hips. And eventually she had to have a hip op because the Crohn's also eats you, the medication eats your bones away. So it was the hip op. And then shortly after that, Lauren had to have another resection on her gut. Right. And we were afraid that she was going to have a colostomy bag. Thank God they didn't. They left just enough, but he did tell us that the next op is going to be sooner and she would need to have a permanent bag. And that was, but Lauren just, that child, I don't know where she got the spunk to fight the life and to go on like that, despite everything. And Lauren was always the one that wanted people to come and visit her. She loved people. She loved to be surrounded by people. She told me one day, it takes away the attention of the pain I'm enduring. And a favorite was to always braai. And then, of course, I'm not going to lie, Lauren smoked. Lauren did consume alcohol. And she knew that was bad for her. But her thing was, you know what, Mommy? I don't have much time to go. And I say, stop it, man. You will still see 50. She said, no, I know I don't have much time to go. So I'm going to enjoy my life. And, at the beginning,
I used to moan and carry on. But after a while, the doctor's words were always ringing in my ears, 5 good years, 5 debilitating years. And this was already in year 8. And I thought, you know what? This child is more at the doctor than in a club.
Yeah.
I'm not going to moan anymore. I'm just going to leave her and let her enjoy her life. The medications, she started off with the normal, like the prednisones, the chemo, the combinations, all of that. And by year 8, she was on the biologics. She was using Humira. She had to inject herself every second day. And that came with its own side effects. Made her very ill. Really made her very ill. And just to see how she had to struggle with that illness. But Lauren resigned herself to the fact that Crohn's is going to be the end of me. But while I can, I'm going to go on. So that was Lauren. And it had a hell of an effect on us as a family. Because, sometimes Lauren was so ill and you could see on her color and stuff. And you go into her room and she's lying still. And then you're actually too scared because you don't want to think the worst, but it looks like the worst. And so you constantly lived your life in fear. And I have to say that in that sense, I did neglect my other children because my focus was on Lauren.
Yeah.
And because Martine only had one form of Crohn's, I thought, you know what, Martine, you're still okay. I need to focus on your sister here. And that was all of us in the family. We were focusing on Lauren. And she didn't like it. She didn't like it at all. She wanted us to stop. And then in the last year was the worst. That was when she was having all those ops like that.
Yeah.
And I remember so clearly how Lauren went to see the specialist at Constantiaberg. And he did another colonoscopy, did another gastroscopy, he did all the tests and whatever. And then Lauren went into his room, his consulting room. And when she came out, I know it was only my trained mind that picked it up, but I immediately saw in her eyes that she had gotten the statement I didn't want to hear. And I said to her, Lauren, everything okay? She just looked at me, and then the doctor called me in. And as I got to the door to go in, she dodged in ahead of me and she closed the door. And then a few minutes later, she came out. And I went in and I sat with him and I said, so where are we now with Lawrence? And all he said to me was, we can only keep her comfortable now.
Right, yeah.
So obviously I knew what he meant. And I said, okay. And he said, Lauren doesn't want you to know. She doesn't want attention, so just let her live her life the way she wants to live. So I said, no, that's fine. We've been doing that.
Yeah.
And we went home and I never spoke about it to her. I thought, you know what? I'm going to wait until you speak to me about it. And that was October 2017. And we went the 31st of October, I remember. It was a Halloween party at the pub. And Lauren phoned up everybody. She wanted everybody to be at that party. And I knew that by this time, Lauren could hardly eat. I knew, Lauren, you're planning your farewell. But I didn't say it to her. And I went and we all, whoever came. And she couldn't, but she forced herself. And we did what she begged everybody, and she wanted to dance with everybody, and she wanted photos with everybody, and I left her. And so it went on. It was Christmas. And then Lauren told me, Mommy, I can't go on much longer. I'm going to have to resign because I really can't anymore. So, well, why didn't you resign before?
Yeah.
It's okay with me. She said, no, now's the time. And then she resigned. In January 2018, she went to her sister in Joburg. And she said to me, I don't know how long I'm going to be there. But when I come back, you will understand. And she said to me, and I don't want you to phone me and video call me all the time. Just give me my space.
Yeah.
I want to be with Gabby, who's the niece, and I want to be with Martine. I said, okay, I understand, I'll leave you. And she said to me, and don't even think of coming up to Joburg while I'm there. You know, that's fine. Oh, I won't. And I left her. And she stayed with her sister until April. It was Holy Week when she phoned me. And she said to me, I'm ready to come home. Can you fetch me at the airport? Which I did. I said, no problem, I can't wait to see you, etc., etc. But thankfully, Lauren's then partner messaged me when they landed, and she said to me, please don't get a fright when you see Lauren, and please don't say anything to Lauren. Wow. When I saw Lauren, my heart shattered. Lauren was a walking skeleton. Lauren had the death stare in her eyes. Lauren could hardly breathe. Lauren came and I looked at her and I got hold of her. She said, please, my skin, don't touch me. My skin is very sore, my body's sore. Can we just go home? I said, okay. We got to the car and Lauren was just vomiting blood. I said, Lauren, I think we need to go straight to hospital. No, Mommy, I want to go home. This was Maundy Thursday. I want to go home. I said, fine. Took her home, made it comfortable. And she still scolded me. Stop pampering me. Just leave me. I just want to sleep. And I was nagging, Lauren, you can't. You need to go to hospital. Mommy, I will tell you when.
Yeah.
And you know, Lynn, that Easter Sunday, Lauren insisted on cooking an Easter lunch. Lauren couldn't stand. Lauren couldn't stand. She said, I don't want help from anybody. Just leave me. I want to cook this. She phoned my sister and invited everybody. They must come for lunch. She phoned Justin, her brother. They must come for lunch. Lauren started cooking at 6 o'clock in the morning. We ate 9 o'clock that evening.
But she cooked.
She was hanging on the counter. She was falling around. She didn't want help. And she couldn't eat. She was just smelling the food. She couldn't eat. And she was looking at everybody. Easter Monday, I said to her, Lauren, I'm going to take you to the hospital now. Nope, time is not right yet. She could just about utter the words. Eventually, the Tuesday, I got her to hospital. Now, they were waiting for her. Because I'd phoned the specialist and they were waiting for her. She was supposed to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. We eventually got there past 4. And I'll never forget it. The specialist was waiting for her. She was sitting in a wheelchair. Couldn't keep her head up. Nothing. Eyes were closed. And she said a very ugly sentence to this doctor. I'm going to say it, you cannot cut it out. But I have to say, Lauren said, why do you take so long, you knife? I'll never forget it. I was so embarrassed. And I had to apologize, but Lauren was so confused already.
Yeah.
And this doctor said, Dr. Rush was his name. He said to me, don't worry. Lawrence, she's in a bad way. And she was admitted and they made her comfortable and everything. That was the Tuesday. Lauren stayed in hospital over the weekend. The following Tuesday, she was now ready. She said, I can come home. The doctor said, all my levels have improved. I can come home. And the doctor, he just laughed and looked at me. And then he called me aside. He said to me, you know, Lauren is very sick. Do you know that Lauren is not going to go home?
Yeah.
I said, no, I know. And then the Wednesday, she just took a turn for the worst. Couldn't eat nothing. They then discovered that she had sepsis. And it seems like the bacteria was picked up in the hospital. It was one of that escape with a K bacteria. At first, they couldn't isolate it. They had infectious control in, they had everything in. Lauren was just going down. Again, that Thursday evening, the Thursday afternoon, because now her sister's in Joburg, and Mommy, please tell me what's going on. And then eventually, the Thursday, I said to her, you're going to have to come. Lauren has taken a turn for the work. I don't know if she's going to make it another night. You're going to have to come. And Martine came Friday morning. But that Thursday evening, all the family and everybody, because I'd let them know, came to hospital. Lauren was totally confused. And you could see that she was heading for multiple organ failure. I could see her kidneys wasn't working, her liver was backing up. Her heart was going, all that. And Lauren she's going to walk out of this hospital down, and they had to eventually strap it down because the bacteria went to the brain and made all of it, whatever. So the Friday morning, I picked Martine up at the airport and we went straight to hospital. And I walked in. We were almost scared to walk in. And I walked in, and there's Lauren lying, and she just looked at. When she saw Martine, her eyes just lit up. She could hardly speak. And then she called me with her hand and I went and she showed me, I must put my head on her chest. And she whispered to me, thank you, I love you. And that was the last words to me.
She was waiting for her sister.
Shortly after that, then the doctors came again and we went to sit in the waiting room. They'd opened up a room for us. And something just told me to go into the ward. And those doctors said to me, I didn't want you to see this. I didn't. Lauren was then being intubated because her lungs had packed up and her heart was giving off all kinds of beeps. And they intubated Lauren. And that was the last we saw of Lauren. Then she was moved to ICU. Sat there Saturday morning, when I got there, the head of the ICU said to me, Lauren has deteriorated further. They're not going to lie to me. It's one thing they can still try, and that is to open her up and try and flush the gut, the liver, to see if they can get hold of this bacteria and just isolate it.
Yeah.
At that stage, I was so desperate for my girl to live. I said yes. But I have that regret because Lauren did tell me, I don't want any more operations. And I said yes, because Martine said, please let them do the operation. And she went into surgery again the Saturday morning. They told me that I must go home. We must go home because it could be anything from 40 minutes to 8 hours, the surgery. The longer I don't hear from them, the better for Lauren. So the whole of Saturday, didn't hear anything. I'm waiting for the doctors to phone me. Nothing. Nobody's phoning me, nothing. So we're thinking Lauren is okay. we all offering praise and whatever. The Sunday morning, 5:10, I get the phone call. Lauren has just passed. A part of me was very angry because there I was sitting waiting for a phone call. I could have spent that night with my daughter.
Yeah.
But like the nurse said, she wasn't conscious. The fact is, I know that it has been proven that if you're in a coma, you can hear what's going on around you. So I just left it for Martine's sake. I left it. Martine was completely hysterical. He couldn't believe it. And that's how Lauren's journey ended.
Sure.
It was very hard for me to have to go and identify my daughter in the mortuary. To be strong, because now I'm sitting, I have to be strong for Martine. Martine is hysterical. I can't mourn. I have to be strong for Justin. I can't mourn. I have to be the strong one. I have to make the arrangements. I have to do everything and answer all the questions. And that is how it went for those couple of days until we had the funeral. And even after that, because by then, 2 weeks after Lauren's funeral, Martine attempted suicide because she couldn't accept the separation.
Yeah.
I had to fly down to Joburg to be with Martine. I got Martine right, then I went back to Cape Town. And then about 6 weeks later, she attempted suicide again. This time she nearly succeeded. So there I was back in Joburg again. And it's been a tough journey. I mean, in April, it's going to be 5 years. But not a day goes by without us talking about Lauren, thinking of Lauren, everything. It's always, wherever you go, if Lauren is alive, you know, she's there, presence is felt.
You feel it, yeah.
You feel it. And for those who say time heals, I'm not sure. I think time teaches us how to cope. But time doesn't heal. Because that pain is so deep.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to funerals after that. I just decided, and I became very cynical, that whoever's dead is dead. I don't want to know. Don't tell me, I'm not going to go. And that's the bottom line. I was very angry. The process of mourning isn't an easy journey. And I felt that the more I spoke about Lauren's journey, the better it made me feel. And so, you know, for people out there who have children with debilitating diseases, who has Crohn's, don't take it lightly. Find out what form of Crohn's, how bad. Do they only have the one form? Do they have all three? Do they have all five? What can you do? If I had to look at my life now, and if I look back and I think now, what would I have done differently? Nothing. Because I was one of these parents that was very inquisitive. And I didn't care on whose toes I stepped. If I wanted an answer, I wanted an answer. And even with Lauren, I mean, the mood swings, oh my God, that was something else. The mood swings. She became so moody. And I'm saying to other people, watch your child's moods. Make a mental note of everything, the changes in behavior, because then you will recognize when they're feeling ill, when they're not. Because, you know, you don't always want to go to your mommy and say, what is this? Why am I bleeding? Why am I vomiting blood? Why is this? Why? Or complain, oh, my hip is sore. Oh, then my knee is sore. You don't always want to complain. Watch them carefully. they get very tired. Don't say they're lazy.
Mm.
If they can't do dishes, they can't do dishes.
Yeah.
If you see their clothes lying around, it's not because they want to leave it alone. It's because they haven't got the energy.
Yeah.
Leave them. So for people out there, I'm saying Crohn's is a silent disease.
Mm.
It's a silent killer. I look at Martine now. She's definitely, I think she's got more than one form now. Her flare-ups are closer. She has a lot of pain. You can see she's ill.
Mm-hmm.
She's not looking good. The symptoms, she's just, I don't know, if I don't even want to say she's regressing, because it's painful for me, but I have to face reality.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see that she's going downhill because I've had the experience with Lauren. But I can tell her that. She proved to the doctors, she proved the doctors wrong, like she says. When she had her first child, she wanted to have the child.
Mm-hmm.
And now she had a baby. He's now 14 months old. And since his birth, she has deteriorated. And the one thing, every time I just tell her, Martin, just think of Gabby and Jordan. What's going to happen to them? You know, I've got to be hard, but my heart is bleeding. My heart is bleeding because all I want to say to her is, just lay down. I understand, but I can't. I have to be that strong person and that almost cruel person, you know? So, yeah, so that's the journey. That's where I am now. And I just pray to God that none of Martine's children will have Crohn's disease.
Will they test it?
They haven't been tested yet. Gabby is leaning towards it. I'm supposed to take her for a colonoscopy, but I'm putting it off for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Because it's not a pleasant experience.
And not for a child at her age.
Not for a child at her age, no. I'm putting it off. Justin has been diagnosed with IBD. Well, he's got fibromyalgia and IBD and all of that. So we all have gut problems.
Yeah.
But not to the extent that Lauren had it and Martine's got it.
Yeah.
So it's been a tough journey. I can tell you it's not easy. But I will advocate for finding a cure. I know they are busy with Crohn's trials now. I can't see, they can't cure you, but they could probably relieve you. So it's probably just another drug.
Yeah.
But because, I'm begging Martine to go on the trial now. So we will see about that. But for those doctors whose focus is on Crohn's and ulcerative colitis or any of the gut diseases, I cannot sing their praises enough. Because never ever did I think that I would see such a debilitating disease as Crohn's. You know, with cancer, you see, you know. But Crohn's isn't widely spoken about because it's a new disease. It's a fairly new disease. So people are, and even doctors, a lot of them don't know enough about Crohn's. So yeah, that's my story.
It's like we need to start the conversation to kind of get people to realize that there is this disease. It does affect people. Correct. There are different variants. And I mean, the saying goes, knowledge is power. So the more you know, the better you can treat it and deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, Crohn's affect young children as young as 3. So how do they cope?
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, there is this thing that when they infuse healthy poop into you, that is the latest that they've said. And I think that's also part of the trial. Somebody's healthy poop because the bacteria needs to be, to grow in your gut, to clear your gut. So We don't know if that's going to be the answer. Maybe they can do it in pill form and you won't know what's in the pill.
Yeah.
But I must admit, when I did tell Lauren, listen, if the biologic doesn't work for you, the next thing is you're going to need poop. So whose poop do you want? And Lauren looked at me and she said, may I be dead that day.
Oh my word.
Do you know that Lauren used to be she used to get so angry at me because now she'd run. And I said, Lauren, explain to me, describe your poop. Mommy, don't talk to me. I said, no, I just want to know, is it formed? Is it running? Is it, what color is it?
Yeah.
How does it smell? Mommy, just leave me. I'm sparing you the embarrassment. This is what the doctors are going to ask you.
Yeah.
You know, when she had to take a sample in, she wouldn't carry it in. She wouldn't. Mommy, you take it.
Yeah.
They all know it's mine, but you take it. I'm not walking with poop. That's why my bummy's at the back, so my eyes can't see it. That's how Lauren used to go on. So you can't help but miss her with all her, you know, quirks and things. But yeah, I'm sure she'd be very happy if we can start that conversation. We need to do something about it.
Definitely. Well, Rowena, thank you for sharing your story. And yeah, hopefully this will be an inspiration to somebody out there who's currently dealing with it or could have the symptoms that Lauren had, and they could start this conversation. Would you be open to people contacting you and having this conversation and sharing and getting a bit of information from you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They can email me. The greatest of pleasure.
Okay. So then what I will do is we'll add your contact details to this particular clip.
Absolutely. And thank you for giving me this opportunity, Lynn.
Yeah,
this is a needed opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.